everybody, and welcome to Modern to Maranello, your Ferrari Motorsport podcast. Everything today. We are thrilled and honoured to have Lance Cawley with us, a Ferrari GT Challenge driver. We just did an interview with him, and we'd love to show that to you. So, my name's Toby here in London, and all the way up there in Birmingham is.
Yeah, hi guys, I'm Paul.
So thank you, Lance, for joining us today. It's a real thrill to have you with us. For anyone who doesn't know Lance, he competes in the Ferrari North America Challenge, the Ferrari Atlanta Challenge at the Shell Amateur category. And Lance also has two impressive race wins at Mugello and Atlanta, and an impressive personal collection of Ferrari cars, so which we'll talk about for sure. But I'd really love to know, where did the passion for Ferrari come from for you? Where did it come from? Because for us in Europe, we're exposed to an awful lot of obviously Formula One and the GT series, and in North America, it's IndyCar, NASCAR. So it's interesting for us to know where the passion for Ferrari comes from.
That's a good question. I grew up on a farm, and we'd never seen a Ferrari near the farm. But after college, I like cars, and I guess in 1989 I was able to buy a Porsche 944. Neat little car, greatly underpowered. I think it had 165 horsepower, but a cute little car. I like to drive it. I bought a 911 and a turbo 911, and I went over to the Ferrari store because I think the Ferraris are beautiful and spectacular performance. And I think my wife bought me a Ferrari hat, and people would come up to me and say, "Do you have a Ferrari?" And I said, "No, I actually don't." So I went and I bought I think it was 2011 in January. I went and bought a used 430 Spider.
Right.
And a nice car, and I would drive it some, and just a fun car to have. But I had what I really wanted to get was a 458, and because the metrics are much better on that car. The 458 was a revolutionary leap in technology with direct fuel injection, and the dual clutch was so much nicer. So anyway, I've had a passion for driving fast, driving nice cars, and Ferrari is just one of the main players in that space. So one thing just led to another, and yeah.
Oh, that's incredible. I mean, the 458 was, for me, after the 430, it was, as you say, it was a different design, elegant looking, completely different, and I think the spec, it was a leap forward for sure.
Yeah, the dual clutch is so fast and smooth. It had plenty of horsepower. The car was just amazing. It was fun to drive. When I bought the 430 Spider, and a 458 became available that had no miles on it. The customer didn't take it. So I bought it from the dealer, and at the same time, I bought a 430 Challenge car. But let me back up a little bit. So I joined the Ferrari club in about 2011 when I bought my first Ferrari, because somebody I ran into said, "You ought to join the Ferrari club. They do a lot of neat things." And I joined that club, and I would go to events, and I was on a multi-day night event sitting at a table with a gentleman and his son-in-law and his daughter-in-law, and he started talking about racing. And he said he raced F1 cars. Historic F1 cars, and he told me all about it, and I just was extremely interested.
Right.
You got who pays for what, who does what, how do you do this and that, and that was probably in the summertime. And then the first F1 race at Circuit of the Americas in Texas was coming up in a few months later in October, and they had 2 extra tickets, and I went with them to that event. It's the first race I'd ever been to in my life, the first racetrack I'd ever been to.
Wow.
And he was racing a 1980 Ferrari F1 car. It was pretty funny. And it was cool. And it had a transmission issue, and they parked it right in front of the Ferrari pits. and all the guys were the guys from the F1 team were out looking at the 1980 car, and all the rest of us were looking at the 2012 cars. Right? So it was neat. I have a picture, the car parked right in front of it. I mean, the technology's come so far.
Yeah.
But at that event, they had a Ferrari Challenge race.
Yeah.
And I saw it and it was very interesting for me.
Right, right. Yeah, I was going to ask how you got into it, why you decided to race. Obviously, you've been like you mentioned that you've been into driving quickly and fast, and it's been a passion. But what sort of gave you that kick to sort of, I want to do this for myself, and I want to be a Ferrari customer driver, a Clay Incy driver. What gave you that?
That's a good question. If you ask people why they race, it's hard to answer. But I saw that race. I spent time that weekend. We went to some events. It was very special, and I got the bug at that time. And I always credit them or blame them for getting into racing. And they said, "No, you had a propensity. We just gave you that little extra push." So I saw that race, and it was pretty cool. It was 458 non-Evo 458s then, and my friend said, "Look." Go to racing school. That's the first thing you do.
Right, right.
And it was late October, and the first racing school I could sign up for was Skip Barber in January. And I rode Atlanta to Skip Barber to go. I went to 3-day racing school, and then did the follow-up racing school, 2-day racing school. And I was qualified to race in a variety of things. I could race I raced in a Skip Barber series that year in an open wheel car, and an SCCA gave me a license as well based on what Skip Barber had done for me.
Yeah, no, I was going to ask you about your licenses and how you got all that. So because that's another thing, right? So
yeah.
So sorry, Lance. Lance, you didn't go through the Corsa Pilata race school.
It wasn't it was unknown of at that time.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah, sure.
It may have existed. I knew nothing about it.
Yeah.
At all, and that's the way to go today. Absolutely. I would go. My wife has been to Corsa Piloti. She's going back to Italy in October to run on the Floriana track and do another course there.
Oh,
but that didn't exist. Just didn't know anything about
that. Didn't exist at that time, no.
Yeah, different time. And so I did that, and I bought a 430 Challenge that same year and started tracking it. And then the next year, in 2014, I think it was, I started racing in an off-brand series. Not It was just Ferraris, but it was more of an historic Ferrari race series.
Right. Yeah. You see, I mean, for me, getting in a race car is a terrifying experience. I love them. And I've driven some track days and some single seaters too, and I'm terrified, to be honest. I'm just trying to put myself in your headspace there. So you're sitting there, your first race. What is going through your mind? I mean, it's
well, first you have to qualify. I think I spun the car in qualifying and Skip Barber the first street. And there was a guy in my class named Colton Herta.
Oh wow!
He was 13 and he was fast. I was not 13. I wasn't fast, but I was there to be a gentleman driver and have fun, be safe. I think the biggest challenge is overslowing in the turns. So that's a challenge even today with every driver, how to go faster through the turns. But we do get nervous. I don't know many drivers. I think I asked one pro driver who won Le Mans last year for Ferrari, do you get nervous? It's not much anymore. But everybody I know everybody else still gets nervous before a race. It's pretty natural. So
and you said your wife drives as well. I didn't know that actually.
She doesn't race. She just drives Ferraris and Porsches. I don't believe we're going to see her racing. She did have a tire blowout on a car about a month ago, and she saved the car.
Wow.
It was a Porsche 911. She saved the car, got it collected up, got pulled off to the side, and she does attribute that to the Corsa Piloti training.
Oh, great. Yeah.
So I highly
Wow,
recommend that for any driver to go to some
Yeah.
driving school so you don't panic and you know what to do if something happens. And the one thing about racing, it's chaos. Anything can happen. I mean,
Yeah.
Right.
there's so
Yeah.
many variables. You try to strategize. You're going to do this, and none of that
Mm.
works. Yeah. I remember we had a
Right.
10-point plan one time for the start of the race. It was a joke. Nothing ever goes like that. It's so funny.
Oh,
I mean,
brilliant.
that's classic Ferrari, though, right? I mean, Plan A, Plan B, Plan C. You
Well,
know, it's that's funny.
they're doing
That's
better now. They've done well the
yeah,
last.
yeah. Let's. This
They're
year
doing
has been
well.
well. Formula One has certainly been a lot better this year so far.
Yes,
So
yes, it has.
yeah.
Yes, yes.
Did you watch the race this morning? By the way, did you?
Absolutely. And I think they did
Great.
really, really well. The
Yeah, me
strategies for
too.
both strategies
Yeah.
were good strategies. Red Bull's got just such an amazing car, and Max is
Absolutely.
good in that
He's
car.
another level. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So I'm excited. I just looked at the points. I mean, they almost have double as many points as the third place
It's a
Yeah.
constructor.
strong second. It's a strong second for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's early though. We'll
yeah.
we'll see. But we watch all the F1 races. We go to some races.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm. Do you go to all the North American races? I guess. Vegas. Were you there at Vegas?
I didn't do
Looking for
Vegas.
the.
Vegas,
Okay.
invariably Vegas was going to be an extravaganza beyond comprehension.
Yes. Yeah.
It
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
it was the most expensive race. It was the most complicated, and it
Yeah.
was really about an entertainment event. I've been to Vegas
Mhm.
many times, but it's not Vegas is Vegas. It's very unique. But
Yeah. Yeah.
we've been to Canada many times, and I've raced in a support race
Mhm.
for Canada
Yeah.
many times. And we went to the Miami Grand Prix last year, and we're going this year.
Yeah.
And Ferrari arranged for us. We took 25 or 6 Monzas on track last year,
Oh, wow.
Amazing. Wow. Wow.
which was fun. And this year we're going to get to take the first ever international cavalcade with Ferrari in the United States is in 1 month.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's 3 weeks from today, and it ends in Miami at the Miami Grand Prix, and we get to take whatever car we take on the cavalcade on the track. So
Oh,
it'll be
wow.
fun.
That's brilliant.
Incredible. That's
So,
beautiful. Yeah.
Lance, what's your favorite circuit you've raced at?
I've done really well at Mugello.
Yeah. You won
And
last year, didn't you? The race one. Is that right?
I
Yeah.
won race one. I've gotten 3 second places there in 3 other races. The
Fantastic.
European tracks are usually pretty nice tracks.
Yeah.
Some of the American tracks are interesting. I mean, you get off a little bit and it's dirt, it's grass, it's exciting, but I mean, they're not all proper F1 FIA level 1 tracks here,
Yeah.
Right.
except for
Right.
Coda, right? So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Have
I
you
like
raced
road Atlanta
Silverstone?
too. Go ahead.
Right. Have you raced around Silverstone? Have you been to the track or ever raced around Silverstone?
I haven't, and I'm looking forward to. Last year, the XX program was at Silverstone. It's not there
Yes.
this year. I suspect it'll be there next year,
Yeah.
and I'll take my wife. Will go. I'll go on using the XX car there.
We'll be
Yeah.
there, Lance, next year.
Yeah.
I'm
Yes.
hoping there in 2025. If they have it on the calendar, I imagine they will.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
We'll definitely be there this year and next year. So that'll be fantastic. And so the car, how is it to drive?
Well, let me keep going. I'll go back to a little bit to the challenge cars, because the challenge
Yeah.
cars are really good cars.
Yeah.
And we can push the challenge cars to 100% and occasionally beyond with consequences. And I'll cut the XX car. We're careful in the XX car.
Yeah.
They're very unique. They're not cheap, and we really are
Right.
just having fun going to different tracks and trying to get a little bit better and better. But we're not pushing it to 100% of the limit.
Right.
It's a little bit
Crazy.
different.
Yeah.
Yeah, in challenge, it's there's a lot of pressure in challenge. I was an okay driver, and I got to be a better driver later when I got a really good pro coach.
Yeah.
Right.
And that guy, he changed the way I drove in almost in little increments that you didn't know what was the change was. And it all added up to my first race with him, a second and a third place as with my new
Wow.
coach. And I got the fastest lap too. And it was in the rain. I'm like, I didn't know what I was like, this is crazy. So a good coach
Yeah.
is so important, and they're not cheap, but it's worth every penny. It just
Yeah.
Right. I
And
mean, you know,
sorry, David.
sorry, Paul. Yeah, no, I was just thinking about the interiors of these cars because Paul and I have been to a few racing days at Silverstone, the Ferrari racing days, and where they have the Clienti there, F1 as well.
Yeah.
And I look inside the 488s as they were racing. I think this year they're doing the 296s.
They'll do both.
But yeah, both. Okay.
Both, yeah.
And it's I see them on the stand and I sort of stick my head in the driver's door and it's, to me, that is just a nightmare. Like I wouldn't even know where to begin. Like I look, compared to my road car, I look at it and I think, my goodness, that's it must be so much going through your mind as you're driving, and you've got the radio too, and
we have a lot of technology. We have real-time video, and
wow.
we have real-time telemetry. Sometimes we can't use the telemetry in quali or racing, but my coach can see me with maybe a 1 second delay. And I've got multiple cameras. I had a camera on me and a camera looking forward. Some guys or women have a camera in the back too.
Wow.
And then we're on the radio too, and we have spotters. I mean, I have a data coach as well. There's just a lot going on, but it's gotten better. In the beginning, you had tunnel vision, and you just didn't see a lot of things.
Yeah.
And I would joke with my coach, and you wouldn't believe it was, you should look for the marker on the right, and eventually your vision opens up and you start to see around you. But the visibility is fair at best in the race cars. It's not like a street car at all.
No. I mean, the amount of information that you have to, or the concentration you must have, must heighten almost immediately, when you get in that thing, your awareness, and like I say, the amount of information you have on the steering wheel, what the car do, everything is just, it's incredible to me that some people actually leave the start line sometimes. So I just get out and run to the boozer. I got to be honest, it just terrifies me. I love watching it, but
we get nervous, but it's a little bit of an addiction. I can't, it's a special thing. You're so nervous before a race, and you're so relieved and excited after a race if you've done reasonably well.
Yeah, I'm sure.
I have a Apple Watch, and I can check my heart rate afterwards, and it's about 150 to 165.
Wow.
When I'm in the car pushing for the race, quali, sometimes just practice. So it's right up there, and that's common actually from talking to other people. And it's almost all adrenaline. Although we wear 4-layer fire protection, and the cars, we're running the car at full throttle, 40 to 60% of the time. It's a little oven.
Yes,
we have an air conditioner, and we have a supplemental air conditioner that pumps fluid through a cool shirt system I have. But even with all that, because of the stress and it's very physical. You're just soaked in sweat. And it's exhausting.
2024 this season, are you looking to do a full program in the Ferrari Challenge?
I'm not this year. For 8 straight years, I did the full program. And this year, it's a transition year for the 488s. The 488s are running in a separate race in North America the same weekend, but we only have a 5-weekend 10-race schedule.
Yeah.
We don't, the 296s have the full 7-weekend 14-race schedule. So I'm just waiting a little bit to see how the 296 does. I have a teammate that has one, and we're learning a lot about the car. Our first race in the US is in about 3 weeks. I won't actually make that first race because I'm going to go on this cavalcade with Ferrari, which is something. So I'm sort of dividing my time between challenge racing, the XX program, and the Ferrari cavalcades. I'm trying to evolve. I've done so many races. I I went to
Yeah.
the Ferrari website. It says 92, but I know it's missing a couple.
Right.
I've done almost 100 Ferrari Challenge races, and I'm going to
Wow.
keep doing them. But I did almost too many races last year. I went to Le Mans last year.
Yeah, sorry, I did see that on
Right.
the Instagram page because myself and Toby were there.
Yeah, we were. Yeah.
And
Yeah. It was a great year. It was a great win. Yeah, it was
It was
fantastic.
incredible.
Yeah.
I was fortunate enough to come in first in my class in North America at that race. But if you
Mhm.
saw the Ferrari Challenge race, I don't know if you saw it. It was Saturday morning. It was a mess. There
Yeah.
were 70,
Yeah.
70 cars and yellow flags
Yeah.
everywhere.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I not a scratch on the car, did well, but I was so relieved to get the car back. It was,
It was your first time driving Le Mans. Was that your
yeah,
first
and
time then?
it's a track you
Right.
can't practice, and
Mhm.
it's long, about 8.5 miles, so it's like
Yeah.
practicing three
Yes.
tracks in one. But the highlight for me of the race was we had practice in the simulator. Simulators are a big part of racing. With my coach doing a pass down the Mulsanne Straight, and at
Mm.
the race, the first or second lap, I don't remember. I did a draft pass at about
Wow.
190 plus miles an hour, and got
Wow.
around the guy before the chicane. You start worrying the chicanes are coming up quick. You don't really. And I got the pass done. It worked. I was ecstatic.
Yeah.
It's amazing. You know, it's. I mean, it's funny how calm you say that. You know, yeah, I was a little worried, and like I say, I'm terrified, and you're very calm explaining this, and to me, it's terrifying.
I
So,
probably
you
popped
know,
a little soon, my coach said, but I just wanted to get it done before the chicane. But we were lucky. We never had rain. We were on slicks the
Yeah.
whole time. There were sprinkles, so it never
yeah,
rained for us, which would have made it worse.
Yeah.
yeah,
But
yeah, yeah.
it was an extraordinary experience for me. I wasn't going to do it
Mm.
because it's not cheap, and,
Yeah.
and the director of Ferrari Challenge signed me up for it, and I didn't sign up for
Right.
it. And then I get it. My teams call me, Lance, we're going to Le Mans. I go, I don't want to use profanity. Like,
Yeah.
WTF are you talking about? That was Friday. By Sunday night, I got with my partner, my wonderful wife Nancy.
Mhm.
We agreed. I'm going to Le Mans. So,
Wow,
You have to
that's
do it. You have to
fantastic.
do it.
Yeah, that's
Yeah, you got to
fantastic.
do it.
and my coach was right about doing it. He was right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm glad I
yeah.
did it. Yeah.
And especially that weekend with the Ferrari win, that must have been fantastic.
It was great. We were in Casa Ferrari.
Yeah.
And
Mhm.
once you have your race, I don't drink any alcohol the days and nights before the races. But after I got my race, I was able to drink some wine, and all the executives there. Paula Clark was walking around, and
Mhm.
other people. And I had to leave before the race was over because we had to race in Montreal the very next weekend. I had to leave from Montreal in like a couple days. So
Mhm.
Right.
Right.
so happy for Ferrari, and that was incredible.
There was a question that someone asked me yesterday. And I'd like to ask you the same question. It was a person I'd never met before, actually, and they asked me, knowing that I'm a Ferrari fan, and they said, "Do you prefer Formula One or do I prefer endurance racing?" And now I was able to answer this better after my Le Mans experience because it was also my first time at Le Mans last year. And I'd like to ask you the same question, actually. But I mean, as a fan, of course. I know you've got a different experience, but
I,
um,
I watch some WEC. It's a little harder to watch in the US, and you need to get a subscription and
okay.
join. And I watch the IMSA WeatherTech series.
Mm,
I watch
yeah.
all those races. We have a 24, a 12, an 8, and my coach is raced in that as well. And I know a lot of some of the drivers, and I know a
Mhm.
few WEC drivers. Um, I think Formula One is interesting, and it's a challenge because there's a lot of maybe politics, and
Mhm.
it's complicated, and you get this one car that nobody can beat for 4 or 5 years, or maybe once or
Yes.
twice race. So
Mhm.
I think in IndyCar, there's much more competitiveness because the
Yeah.
cars are more equal, and I think that's the way it is in WEC
Yeah.
as well. A little harder
Yeah.
for us to watch WEC here in the US. There's not, there's only usually one race. And I've been to a couple of WEC races where we were a support race.
Right.
But I like both of them a lot. It's amazing.
Yeah.
I do too. My answer was based on my experiences of being at the event.
Yeah.
So, and I have to say, Le Mans wins hands down. So it was for me,
It was
endurance racing,
it was the
was
100th year.
outstanding.
It was a 100th year anniversary last year.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
it
And
was.
I got to do the drivers parade. And if you
Yeah.
go, I'm on Facebook and Instagram. If you go look at it,
Mm.
I was in the driver's seat running around, throwing beads and things. And there were tens and tens of thousands of
Yeah.
people in the town with incredible passion. And we're
Yes.
a race, a little bit of a race gear. And all these women are like coming over to want to hug you and stuff. So I went over to hug one.
Easy. Yeah.
They took my hat. She didn't really want to hug me. She wanted my hat. So I got all the other guys to throw their hats into the stands to the people. But they're so passionate. Anyway.
Yeah.
They are. I mean, that was the thing that struck me more than anything was, everyone was passionate and just loved racing and cars. And there was no tribal behavior. There was no aggression. Didn't matter whether you're a Ferrari fan, a Toyota fan, or a Porsche fan. Everyone just came together for the love of racing and the passion of that. And Formula One is, to me, these days is less of that. It's I love Formula One. I do. I love the technology. I love the cars. I love the drivers. I love the tracks. But that experience was unbelievable to me, and
Yes.
it really, opened my eyes. Let's put it that way. So
Yeah, it was
I was
wonderful.
unaware.
I was so
Yeah.
happy I got to attend that, and I was very fortunate. Ferrari Challenge only goes there every 3 to 5 years.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And so it's rare that you can even do that.
Yeah, yeah. But you had Jensen in the NASCAR, so running around, which was outrageous.
What was really cool, the first practice session, we were right up at the front of pit lane because our team did a great job getting us out. And I'm sitting there in pit lane, and this really tall football-like player, African American, comes over to me, looks into me, and said, "What are you guys?" And I go, "We're Ferrari Challenge. We do this." And I started talking to him, and he was from Charlotte, North Carolina, with NASCAR. And then another one came over, a guy, and he was here from Virginia, not far. They were the pit crews.
Yeah.
And they were quicker changing the tires with the jack than the guys with the air jack. These guys were like,
Oh, wow.
we were both so excited to see each other. And I went over during the grid walk over in pit lane and talked to him again. The car did pretty well. I mean, it's huge compared to the prototypes. It's funny looking. It sounded like no other car on track.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it did pretty well, actually. So
Yeah, it did very well.
Yeah, no, it did great. Yeah.
they were so excited to be there.
Yeah.
No, it was you could hear it coming a mile away. You knew exactly
Yeah.
what that was. I loved it.
It wasn't a normal NASCAR, but
No, I'm sure it wasn't. Yeah.
No, it wasn't.
But so talk us through some of your personal collection of cars. Take us through some of those.
Well, let me start to think about this. So I have a Monza SP2.
Beautiful.
And it's fun. I drive it. It's tagged for the street. We had to get them to become street legal last year. They weren't street legal originally here in the U.S. It's fun driving it. It's like nothing else. Talk about great visibility. You got incredible visibility.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
I was
You
driving.
need some goggles on when you wear that.
I'll wear a helmet with a shield.
Yeah, right.
It came with 2 helmets, and they gave us a third helmet, and then it has goggles too. I use the shield, and it's so cool to ride around that car. And people
Wow.
look at you like, what am I seeing? But when you get the thing up to speed or over legal speed or whatever, it's like being in a Category 5 Hurricane. It's
Yeah.
incredible.
I bet it is. Yeah.
And I took a guy where I store some cars out, and he had goggles on, no helmet. He was in the passenger seat. And when we got back, we had huge smiles and laughing, but his hair was all like back. He looked like he'd been 150-mile-an-hour hair blower. And anyway, it was fun. So
Fantastic.
that's a cool car. it's a 12 cylinder in the front. And then I
Yeah,
have a
beautiful car.
love Ferrari, which I really like, a special
Okay.
car. And hybrid, the first hybrid car that they sold for driving on the street. And
Yeah.
it's you can see the beginning of all the hybrid technology. You can see the dash that can adapt to different views, and it's pretty neat.
Yep.
Again, on the street, you can't really experience the full power of the
Oh.
car. So, and I
Well, you
have,
can. You're just not going to be very happy with law enforcement, but
I think it would be the end of my driver's license.
maybe,
I
yeah,
mean, but
yeah.
you can go from like 0 to 100 between stoplights in Florida, and it's very.
I see that. I used to, I spent some time in New York, and I used to see that between the lights. The guys with the sort of powered cars, you'd see them looking at each other, and then they take off, like you say, like 100 yards, and then stop for the next lights.
You get up to a certain
the
speed,
next
and it's
block.
time to bring it down a little bit.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
I
that's
love the
it.
car. I take it to car shows. We have Cavallino in the U.S. at the Breakers in Palm Beach, and I show that car there most years. And I was an honorary judge there this year as well.
Oh, great.
I learned from some experts about judging huge collectors and some of the older cars. I have a Pista Spider, which is a
Wonderful.
really nice
Yeah.
car.
Yeah.
And I have, let's see here, I have a 296 GTS here with me in Virginia.
Wow.
Yeah, you've just got that, haven't you? Is that right,
I
Lance?
just got it about a week and a half ago, or
Wow.
10 days. And then I have
Beautiful.
a Pura Sanguine that just came at the same time. And
Okay.
that's really for my wife.
Yeah.
Although I have driven it quite a bit. Just testing some things out.
You've got to make sure it's roadworthy, right? So that's it.
Exactly. And then I have a 488 Challenge Evo. I had a second one, which was my backup car, and I sold it a couple months ago because we're coming to the end of the 488s. And if you're fighting for the championship in Ferrari Challenge, you need at least one backup car, because if you miss a race, you get no points, and there's no race to throw out. You don't get a mulligan. So having a backup car is important. And my primary car, on the first lap, usually your coach takes it out to test it and work on setup. It caught on fire at Road America last September, and so we had to get the backup car out of the trailer. We had it with us and got it going, and it's racing. Things happen.
Yeah. Amazing.
Let's see. What else? I have a SP3 Daytona TaylorMade on order. It's
nice.
Okay.
It's progressing.
What color you got for that?
So I've got 3 cars coming that are Rosa Magma.
Okay, lovely.
Wow.
And it's a nice triple layer paint. I have a 812 Compensione TaylorMade.
Beautiful.
It's here in the U.S. It hasn't quite made it from headquarters to my garage yet, but I'm hoping it shows up in the next week or two and I take it on the cavalcade.
Well, when the SP3 turns up, I'm coming over, my friend, because I tell you what, that is my dream car. I was a big F12, or still am a big F12 fan, 488, but SF90 I love, but that SP3, forget it.
Unique.
I'm coming.
Come. And then I have a Portofino, which lo and behold is a wonderful car to drive to dinner with your wife or take long trips. But it's in the process of moving out of the stable because I have too many cars, according to my wife. Let's see what else. I have a 296 GTB that's not here yet, but I'll probably won't keep that too long. And then I have a SF90 Spider that's mostly done, that's coming. So
beautiful.
That's a neat car. And then a SF90 XX TaylorMade.
Wow.
That's in process. It'll be of the list of cars I just mentioned. It's the last one that'll come. And it's got a lot of exposed blue carbon fiber on it.
Oh, nice.
I'm a pretty
Beautiful.
conservative guy, but they allowed me to do this. And then I never had carbon fiber wheels because you don't race with them. They're special, but too special. And we were trying to decide what wheels to put on this car in the tailor-made meeting. And I said, "Do you have blue carbon fiber?" And he goes, "Yeah, that's becoming available. We can get that for you." So I guess it's pretty out there.
Wow.
So
Oh,
I
wow.
think
Beautiful.
I think that's enough cars. I don't know.
No, that's incredible.
I'll
That's
probably
incredible.
order a 296 Challenge car later in a few, later this year.
Yeah.
We'll see.
What's your favorite one? If you had to keep one, which one would which one
Ah,
would be?
and people ask me this, and my answer is it depends what I'm doing.
Yeah.
These cars have, if I'm racing on the track, well, I forgot one car. I have an FXK Evo. Oh, just forgot that. Oh,
How could you forget that? Yeah, that's
I,
it. Yeah.
I
It's
kind of
just,
switched gears.
you know.
And regarding the love Ferrari, until you have the XXK EV, you really can't experience the full potential of the car.
No, no.
And that
Unbelievable.
on track, you can really go all out. And you also learn about how to use the hybrid battery. It's like the F1 cars. You get one lap of qualifying, then you got to recharge.
Yeah.
Or you
Right.
can put it on longer run mode and get like 3-4 laps of
Mhm.
pretty good power. But for quali mode, by one lap, you've used up the battery quite a bit. Or you can hit the button, the KERS button.
Right, right.
You hold that KERS button down, it's like you can feel it go. But then you can see the battery gauge kind of going.
Yeah, yeah, of course. Yeah.
So my favorite car,
Mm.
it depends what I'm doing. If I'm going, I'll be in Balaton, Hungary in June. I may go to Paul Ricard. I'll go to Imola in the car. So that would be the XX car. If I'm going to go on track and do a track event, it's the car.
Wow.
It is very loud.
Yeah, well, loud is good. We like loud. Yeah.
It's very
Loud is good.
loud. And
Yeah.
but if you say I was going to take my wife to dinner, the answer would have been the Portofino. But now I sit here and say the Pure Sanguine is pretty neat to do that in too.
Nice.
Do you have a particular favorite driver of all time, whether it's Formula One or endurance or any kind of driver at all? Is there one guy you look up to and you think that guy?
Well, I guess there's a couple of names. Arton Senna, I think, was one of the greatest drivers, and it was a real tragedy what happened to him.
Of course.
And same with Schumacher as well.
Yeah.
Modern day, I don't. I'm a big Ferrari fan.
Yeah.
Right.
Who couldn't say Kimi Räikkönen was special?
No,
Kimi.
absolutely.
Everyone
We
loves
love Kimi. We
Everyone.
love Kimi. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
he would when we race at F1 support race, the drivers come out for a photo session, and I got to meet Leclerc and Vettel and Sainz, and always talk to them. Kimi really didn't want to talk to us. He was there, but reluctantly, perhaps.
Yeah, I was going to say he's a reluctant, he's a reluctant guy. Wonderful.
Yeah.
I mean, I love world champion, Formula One world champion. So he's, but who doesn't love Kimi? We all love him.
Lance, I was going to have you been over to England at all yourself? Have you been to England?
Well, I went to England many times in my business career, but it's been a while. And I look forward to returning to England to go to Silverstone with the XX program as soon as I can. And I definitely want to travel around. I want to take my wife around England and Ireland too as well. I like England. I guess my last name is somewhat English, but I'm not a
I was gonna. It's interesting. I was going to ask you about that as well. What your heritage is? There any British blood in you there?
I think it's very hybrid heritage. I think there's a lot of different. There's nothing purebred here at all, but the name comes from England actually. So,
yeah. So have you ever been to Silverstone yourself then?
No,
not yet. No.
And for the last 10 years, I've been racing, and it took up almost all my time between working.
Yeah.
I mean, racing is so all-consuming. We spend a lot of time in simulator.
Yeah.
The track events in the U.S. are generally 5 days, most of them, and there's 2 travel days coming and gone, so that's 7 days, and then there's testing and practice. So it just absorbs all. My wife jokes at times, is there something we can do that doesn't involve car or racetrack? Like,
Yeah,
No.
I don't
I get that as well. I get that as well at home.
And obviously, you've been to Maranello a few times.
Yes.
I'm sure more than a few times. So, what have you got any special memories or people you've met there or had great experiences you'd like to
Well,
share?
Ferrari's been very nice to me. I'm not
Mhm.
an incredibly special person. They like people who race, and I raced for a long time, and they were very nice to me. I think for me, what was real special was last year we went there for the SF90 XX unveiling, and that
Wow.
was
Yeah.
pretty cool. But what was real cool, the next morning, I was going to the museum to look at the XX car that I
Yeah.
wanted to buy. And it was in the museum and had the museum director and the head of the XX program there with me. And there were a few spectators walking by, don't touch the car. They had the car open for him, sitting in the car. That was an extraordinary
Mhm.
experience. So Ferrari's been very, very kind to me, and I'm very happy to have the relationship I do with them. It's just wonderful.
Yeah, no, it's always. I mean, Maranello's a special place to us all, but it's.
And
I'm sure for competitive drivers, it must be another level as well. But it's great to
Ferrari
hear that you're sort of treated well.
Ferrari Challenge also in the last 3 or 4 years has gone out of their way to arrange factory tour, a lunch at
Mm.
Montana or the other restaurant, a museum tour. They've arranged all kinds of things and wine tours as well. They take
Wow,
you to the
great.
sporting facility where all the XX cars are, and you have lunch. So you get to meet different people. And it's all a lot of it's about the people. I've seen a lot of cars, but the people I've met,
Mm.
the executives at Ferrari, and they go out of their way to show their appreciation for our business. So,
Have
You
you
know.
collected any memorabilia yourself, Ferrari wise? Have you got any?
nothing special.
Yeah,
Nothing. I mean, I have some hats behind me signed by
yeah,
different drivers that they
I was
gave.
going to say you've got some hats
yeah. I
back
can see a
there.
few.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
Yeah, Ferrari Challenge arranged that. They did that for us. So they've tried to. They do different things for us. They have at the challenge races, at F1 race, they'll have a special reception where you can get to meet a driver.
yeah.
Or I met and talked to Fred last year for a while, and it was
Oh,
interesting
nice.
to talk to him. Pretty serious guy,
Yeah,
and
mhm.
it's fun. They do a good job. I get a lot of stuff from them, a lot of pictures, a lot of different. I get all these clothes. It's
yeah.
pretty funny. I get so many hats, backpacks. It's all really cool stuff. And my wife, I say, she, it's free. I go, no, it's really free.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Comes with a
Maybe.
price.
Yeah. But I'm
Yeah,
thankful. It's pretty cool stuff, and I'm very proud
Yeah.
to promote Ferrari because it's a great car, and it's a great culture too. And
yeah, yeah.
It
my
is.
latest endeavor, which I don't know if I'm going to have that much success, but I've been studying Italian for every day for at least 3 or 4 weeks. I'm going to keep doing it, and maybe in 10 years I'll be able to order lunch. I don't know. I'm not, it's hard,
You're
very
it,
difficult.
it is hard. Is learning languages is not easy, that's for sure. Yeah, I think
It's
we're all struggling with that. So
yes, yes,
yeah.
yes, yes.
I mean, I think we both wish you the most, all the success in the future. WEC is increasing in popularity, endurance racing in general, and I think other series are too. And so we hope you get a lot more exposure and you
Yeah,
know, and going
yeah.
forward, all the success
I'm gonna say,
because
yeah, Lance, thank you so much for giving up your time. Really
yeah,
appreciate
absolutely,
it. We've loved it, and we'll be following you all year.
yeah,
Yeah, you're such a great guy, and thank you so much.
yeah.
And we look forward to seeing your new cars delivered as well. That'd be great to
Yeah,
see.
you can follow me on
Absolutely.
social media. It's pretty straightforward. I'm with Ferrari of Atlanta too. They do a lot, and I'll be at Pebble Beach. I'll be
Yeah,
do the Ferrari rally that they arrange
yeah.
every year, which is super cool, and I get to stay there at their facility, which is neat. And
Oh, lovely.
it's just a great lifestyle. I'm very fortunate at this
No,
point in my
yeah,
life to experience. I want to say this: if you're racing, it doesn't matter. If a guy's racing a Spec Miata or Honda, the guy, that's great too.
Yeah.
I'm just lucky to be able to
Yeah.
drive a car. Any of those cars, you're racing, and I'm a good driver. I'm not a great driver, but I'm a good driver. So kudos to anybody who's racing.
We'll have to try and
Fantastic.
catch up near the end of the year or something like that. I'd love that if we could have a little
Well,
chat.
I'll be in Imola for the World Finals in the XX car.
Oh, lovely.
Okay.
And then yeah,
We
I'll
can
see.
both practice Italian at that point then. So we can
There's
try and
some
order
good.
lunch or dinner.
One other quick funny story is at Imola, if you speed in pit lane, you get a ticket.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
I raced there 2 years ago. I get back to my car, and there's something on the windshield, and one of the executives from Ferrari standing there with my team manager and goes, "You're in a lot of trouble. We're going to start not letting you taking your cars away." And he pulls this. It's a ticket for
Oh wow.
150 euros. Because
funny.
when you qualify and you're done qualifying, you get out of the way off the track, so you don't impede somebody. At least that's what you're supposed to do. And the first 100 feet of pit lane, you speed. But I thought it was great story. I knew two other people. One got a 500 euro fine, and one a 900 euro fine. I wouldn't have been too cool, but I don't know how it'll work this year when I go there. We'll see.
Fantastic.
Oh, that's fantastic. We love to see you at Silverstone too when you come across next year.
Yeah, that'd be great next year.
I hope they have it next year. It's one of the main things I really, really want to do. So
no, we look forward to seeing you next year. Hopefully, that'd be fantastic to meet in person. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Have a good evening.
Thanks,
Bye.
Lance.
You take care,
too.
Lance.
Thank you.